Hi everyone, my name is Tamid Saleh and welcome to this, kind of bonus video I thought I'd treat you guys with. It's of course looking at the return of Sir Andy Murray. Of course he's been made a Sir, he's been knighted. And yeah, he returned to single action this week at the Cincinnati Open. It ended with defeat in the first round, but a very impressive display. It wasn't like a complete beatdown where it was like 6-0, 6-1, something like that. He had a good showing. He lost 6-4, 6-4 to Richard Gasquet, who of course is the world number 56. So it does show that, even in his first match back, Murray is playing at a top 100 level of tennis. So I wanted to really look at what is now the possibility for Andy. Can he win another slam? What would be a successful return from injury for Andy Murray? If you haven't already, then please do subscribe, as I do release weekly content on tennis as well as additional videos during the Masters, Grand Slams, World Tour Finals, etc. My last video was looking at the Cincinnati Open draw and Rafa winning Montreal, and I'll put a link up here somewhere and also in the description below if you want to take that look. So yeah, back to Andy Murray and we'll talk about him. So without further ado, let's roll the intro.
Here he is again. That's astonishing. It's absolutely world.
So we have Andy Murray back on the tennis scene. I'm sure we can all agree that we're delighted to see him after that hip resurfacing surgery he had. He is the first player attempting to come back to singles tennis after this injury. The doctors have said that after having the hip resurfaced, most people are simply happy to live a pain-free life where they can go skiing or something, or maybe play a bit of golf on the weekends. But no one has attempted to come back and play professional tennis. So it just shows that, what Murray is going through. As I've said, no one has come back to the singles scene from this surgery, so we can't really base how we predict he's gonna perform on someone else, as he is the first man to do it. However, looking at his return to singles, which was of course this week in the first round of Cincinnati, there was a lot of positives to be taken from that, even though he lost. He lost 6-4, 6-4 straight sets to Richard Gasquet, but it was by no means... I personally don't see any negatives in that return. Yes, he lost, but were we really expecting anything other than a defeat for Murray in that match? I just wanted it to be competitive, and it was very competitive. It showed that Andy Murray can still mix it with the top 100. That, of course, isn't his long-term goal. He doesn't want to just come back to tennis to be a top 100 player and so on. But it was very promising signs and encouraging signs as well. And especially afterwards, where he said that, we were all waiting after the match as well, if he felt anything, or maybe the next day. But he came back straight to the doubles with Feliciano Lopez the next day. He said he was fine. Obviously, he had a few pains from returning back after so long, but nothing to be concerned about. And most importantly, he's saying that he is pain-free. He's also said that he is looking to take part in the singles next week at the Winston-Salem Open, which is very promising in my opinion. Murray, of course, will not be taking part, unfortunately, in the US Open this year. I feel like it's come maybe a week or two too soon for him. The weird thing I felt was that he had to make his decision before his first round match against Gasquet. Yeah, so he couldn't really accept it, as he did not want to enter the best of 5 scene without seeing how his body performs and how, after matches he feels after best of 3 set matches. So he had to give back his wild card that he'd been offered from the US Open. And yeah, he will not take part in the US Open. Personally, I think this is, as disappointed and as sad as we are to not have a player like Murray available, it's probably good for him, because we don't want him back to make up the numbers or to take pictures and it's not a farewell tour, I believe. I want to see Andy Murray back competing with the best and going far in slams. So even if he was to play in the US Open, I personally wouldn't see him getting past the second round at best, maybe even losing in the first round. So I would rather he fully took his time, scheduled himself properly, and slowly got back to the scene. And I believe that the Australian Open 2020 would be a really good tournament to come back. He of course played the 2018 tournament where he lost in the first round, and at that point it did really look like that was it. The Andy Murray's singles career was over. He was very emotional in one of his interviews. And it led to a lot of people thinking that it was a retirement interview that he had. Of course, with the Australian Open, they had the montage from all the players saying good luck in retirement and whatsoever. I felt it was a bit too soon, but it was nice. And yeah, how great would it be to see him return again back in the Australian Open? A tournament I feel like he's been very unlucky in. He's lost 4 finals there, I believe. Never lifted the Australian Open trophy. And yeah, it'd be a good place. He has a lot of support in Australia as well. Before that, we still have the 2019 season, of course. Even though he won't play in the US Open, Murray has signed up to a couple of singles tournaments later on in the year. Of course, we have the Winston-Salem that he might take part in. He's also committed to playing in, forgive my pronunciation, Zhuhai and the China Open. They're smaller tournaments than the Masters 1000, so I believe it'd be a good stage for Murray to see how competitive he is in that scene. And yeah, I want to ask you guys, what will be a successful return for Andy Murray? I think for me personally, a successful, very successful return would be if he was to win one more Grand Slam. I think a very good return would be if he was to compete and reach, maybe a semi-final or even a final in the Grand Slam, and maybe win a couple of Masters or ATP 500s. And I think a decent, satisfactory return would be just competing with top 10 players and so on. I don't expect Murray to ever become world number 1 again. I don't expect him to win multiple slams, but that really isn't why he is here. If someone was to ask me right now, who is a bigger threat to the big three, Nadal, Djokovic, Federer, is it a post-surgery Murray or is it one of the next-gen players? Personally, I would still have to go with Murray. Simply because he knows how it's done. I feel like with a lot of these youngsters, it's the mental edge that the big three has over them. It's almost like they've lost the match before it's even started. And even if they get a good win against one of the big three, they have to keep it up. It's not just a one-off match. They then might need to beat another big three. They may even have to beat all 3 of them. And personally, I don't see the likes of Tsitsipas or Zverev or Medvedev anywhere near that level of consistency to be beating the big three. That is why, even though it looks like a long shot, I still think Murray is a bigger threat to them than the next gen players. By no means I am saying that Murray will defeat the big three or get to that level, but yeah, just out of that question, if I had to pick one, I'd go with him. I want to now look at some of Murray's career statistics. He's had a great career already. He's won, of course, 3 Grand Slams, which is incredible in this era, especially with the dominance we've had from the big three. And it's not just the 3 slams. I feel like he's been very unfortunate as well in slam finals. He's actually reached 11 slam finals. He's lost 8 of them. He's won 3. He did actually lose the first 4 slam finals. And at that point, it did seem like, will he ever win a slam? He has, of course. He's won 3 of them, 2 Wimbledons and 1 US Open. He won the World Tour Finals as well, the next biggest tournament available to players in that 2016 season, where it was the first time ever the last match of the season decided who finished it rank 1 and rank 2. It was between Murray and Djokovic in a sort of like a winner-takes-all match, and Murray won that final to become the world number 1 player. Since 2004, since Roger took that world number 1 off Andy Roddick, there's only been 4 different world number 1s. That's 15 years, and we've only had 4 different world number 1s. So for Murray to get that world number 1 spot, amazing achievement. He actually held it for 41 weeks as well. Murray's also won 14 Masters 1000 titles, and probably his biggest achievement that the others haven't, or no other tennis player actually has, is his 2 Olympic gold medals in the singles. That's right, no other player in tennis history, whether it be man or woman, no one else has won 2 single gold medal titles, which Andy Murray has in the 2012 London Olympics and the 2016 Rio Olympics. I feel like that 2012 gold medal against Roger Federer, after that very painful Wimbledon final loss he had suffered, was the turning point in Murray's career, because after that he of course won the US Open that year, he won Wimbledon the following year, and that gold medal really did help him. So can he win the 2020 Tokyo gold medal? We'll see about that. I think by then, if he's if he's performing well in Australia, then of course the Masters 1000, the French Open, Wimbledon, he should get to a reasonable standard where he could compete for that gold medal. And yeah, 3 times. And finally, Murray also led Great Britain to a Davis Cup victory. For me, this is one thing that I thought I would never see happen, especially with, you know, other countries like Spain or France or even Switzerland with their 2 players. They've got star players, like more than one. However, Great Britain, really and truly, they had Andy Murray. I know we have Kyle Edmund now as well, but, you know, he's not that star player. And yeah, Murray won the Davis Cup with Great Britain. He was winning the singles, the doubles with his brother, and yeah, it was amazing achievement from that. Murray is also the 4th highest ever player in terms of career earnings. He's won over $61 million in terms of tennis prize money. Only the big 3 have more than that. And his 2016 season, he made 16 million in prize money. This was the 2nd highest ever in any particular year. So Murray really isn't coming back for the prize. He isn't coming back for the money. He isn't coming back, you know, for anything other than trying to push on for the big titles. We know Murray isn't simply coming back if he feels like ATP 250s and ATP 500s are his peak achievements. Like, that's what he can win. He is coming back for the Grand Slams, and unless he is competitive in the big tournaments, I feel like this comeback will be very short-lived. The extra thing Murray has, of course, is he hasn't got that pressure to play. Everyone is just happy to see him back, happy to see him pain-free. You know, he's won the slams, so he's not got that pressure of winning a Grand Slam. He's not got the pressure of the money. So, you know, what a lot of these next-gen players, you know, they've got a pressure with them. Murray is just here for the ride. He's 32 years old. In any other era, he'd probably have retired by now. But with this era of players playing up to like 38, for instance, with Roger being still competitive, I feel like that is a reason why Murray has also come back to the game. I'd like to end this video quickly by looking at the Cincinnati Open. I'd just like to update you how things are going. We've had some, you know, big names out already. We, of course, had Rafa pull out early. We had Thiem pull out as well through sickness. We've had players like Tsitsipas, Zverev, Shapovalov, Felix Auger-Aliassime, Tiafoe, Coric, like all these youngsters. These, like, we look at them for hope to dismantle or break into the big 3. All out very early. We had Kyrgios out in controversial circumstances. So when are these guys going to step up? That is what I am asking myself time and time again. And yeah, the quarterfinal lineup is going to be either Djokovic or Carreno Busta versus Puig or Khachanov. I'm going to predict it'll be Djokovic Khachanov in that. We've got Medvedev through already to his quarterfinal. He's going to face Federer or Rublev. Last time I've checked, Rublev is a setup against Federer, so could be a shock on the cards. The winner of that match will play Medvedev. We've got Roberto Bautista Agut versus Gasquet. So like I've said, Murray losing to Gasquet was no embarrassing defeat there. Gasquet has reached the quarterfinal of the Masters 1000. So yeah, he's doing well. And we've got Nishioka, who defeated Nishikori, versus Goffin in that last quarterfinal. That bottom half of the draw with Rafa and a team pulling out before, you know, it even started, really. It's really made, like, we're going to have a finalist, which is Roberto Bautista Agut, Gasquet, Nishioka or Goffin. So a massive opportunity for them. And it was an opportunity for a lot of players as well, and they haven't taken it. So yeah, that's the Cincinnati update for you guys. This was just kind of like a bonus video. I want to talk about the Murray situation. I want you guys to get really involved with this one, please. So please do leave a comment. I'm asking you guys, what is a successful comeback for Murray? Will Murray win another Grand Slam? And yeah, just let me know what you think of his comeback. Are you just simply glad to see him pain-free and playing again? I'd love to hear what you guys say. As I've said many times, I do reply to most comments, if not all of them. And if you've enjoyed this video, please do leave a thumbs up and subscribe for future videos like this. Thank you very much.
Game, set, and match. Game, set, and